All right, so this is day 45 review. Um, Beautiful day. Got up on time. Took some work to get the kids to actually get out of bed. Yeah, had to torment them, traumatize them mostly. But anyway, we actually were on the bikes. I think it was 8:45, which has got to be a record for us. Um, Headed out of town, headed south on US 550, running down to Ridgeway, and then in Ridgeway tried to get on a little, I can't remember what it's called, a little county road though that runs kind of along the bottom side of the mountain on the west side of US 550 between Ridgeway and Ouray. There's a bunch of houses up there, and I missed a turn. We got on the road, did about half of it, missed a turn, and plopped out back on US 550. But that was nice because there was no traffic ahead of us, and we just ran 550 on the rest of the way into Ouray. And then didn't really spend much time there, just went through town, did the switchbacks to get you back up to the top of the box canyon there, and then started running the infamous section, south of Ouray that has all the 25-mile-an-hour corners and sheer drops and spectacular views. Quite a bit of traffic. I think we had to sit on 550 before we got to Ridgeway. They're doing road construction, so we had to just sit and wait for a while, turn off the engines and sit and wait. But once we got to Ouray, the traffic was moving most of the time. Really pretty. I mean, the trees are really changing. There's still a lot left to change, but the ones that are changing are very colorful in some spots. Starting to see a lot more of the red and orange, not just the yellow. Sarah did real well. She wasn't wild about the heights, but she, took it slow and steady, got through it. Daniel and I ran a sedate pace. We didn't leave her behind. And just, even if we wanted to, you couldn't really go fast. I mean, there's just a lot of traffic. Got up over all the passes and everything, and then rolled into Silverton, and didn't really stop there, just kind of kept on going. Got up the overpass there just south of town on 550, where you can look back down over the whole town and you can see the Durango Silverton narrow gauge train, and it was backing up. We were going to wait for it to pull out and film it leaving town, but it just backed up and stopped and wasn't there when we got back, but we didn't want to wait that long, so kept going. Didn't get too far. I can't remember if it was before Silverton or after Silverton. It's one of the sections where you have the wasn't really a switchback, but pretty tight corners, and it's pretty steep, and it's real close to where that big mine is, where Yankee Grill mine is, and there's the other mine right there next to the highway where they've done all the reclamation stuff, and traffic just stopped. There was no oncoming traffic, and we weren't moving, so sat in the sun for a few minutes, and finally was like, screw this, and pulled up ahead of a couple cars and got on the shoulder in the shade and spent the next 15 minutes visiting with the people in the truck we pulled up next to. A real nice couple. Never got their names, didn't take their pictures. I keep forgetting to do that. And they had a big helicopter out there. It was a Black Hawk helicopter. Looked like it was a civilian version, but apparently they were replacing or installing remote avalanche triggers. No idea how they work, but they got some spots there on the highway that are real bad about avalanches, and normally they would use I guess it's the old howitzers that they used to tow behind Jeeps. They're not real big. And we had seen one go by being towed. It was wrapped up. You could tell it was obviously an artillery piece. I don't know if that was the same one or what, but so they were using this helicopter to lower in these avalanche triggering devices that they could trigger remotely, so the guys don't have to actually go up there and do that, and they don't have to lob shells and all that kind of stuff. So the whole time we're sitting there, we're listening to the helicopter, and then eventually they let traffic go back through, and everybody got moving again, and got through all that, got down to Durango, stopped at the Sirius Texas Barbecue on the north side of town, and it was really good. Their mac and cheese is killer. The brisket was really good. The root beer was good. The kids were excited about that because the root beer in Rico was kind of, yeah, it was nasty. They didn't even drink it at all after taking 2 or 3 sips, and then they were mad at me because they're like, "You said it was good." And it's like, I just said they had root beer. But yeah, had our barbecue, headed back up 550, just basically backtracked. I can't remember that. Was it Pinkerton Hot Springs or Pinkton Hot? I can't remember. Big mountain on the side of the road that's just a hot spring coming out and runs down the side of the mountain. It's pretty cool. Stopped, checked that out, took some video, took some pictures, and then went back up 550 all the way to Silverton again. And when we got to Silverton this time, we gassed up and then we drove through Silverton and went, I can't remember the name of it. There's a bridge that goes over the water after you drive, I don't know, a couple of miles of loose gravel. And you go over that bridge and there's a huge remnant of a big mine facility that was there on the cliffside. I don't know if they're cleaning up or what, but it was also kind of neat. It looked like some of the mines have been turned into homes, or some of the mines have had homes built up above them, and then the mine is like their front yard, basically going down the front of the mountain. But when we got back there to that bridge, that was a big wide spot, and it's right where the road starts climbing into the valley, like if you were going to go all the way to Animas Forks. And I didn't want to take the time to do that, and I knew the road was going to start getting rougher, and didn't really want to mess with that. So we turned around, went back through town, and ran some of the streets off the main drag just to look at the homes and churches and other buildings, because it's, like so many towns out here that are mining towns, they're Victorian aged architecture, because a lot of that stuff happened mid 1800s, late 1800s, even early 1900s. A lot of the buildings have like 1901, 1902, but a lot of them have 1888 or 1886, something like that. So yeah, pretty cool stuff. A lot of money has moved in and restored a lot of these homes. I don't know if they're like original colors, because some of the colors are kind of, I don't know what you call it, bright, gaudy, but it's still cool, real neat. And the trees were pretty way back up in the valley, and then we got back on 550, heading north again, and the sun's now coming in just above the west ridge, so it's lighting up all the trees. I mean, it was just really, really pretty. And there was one spot in particular right outside of Silverton when we were climbing, pulled over, got some pictures there, and then I don't know that we stopped again after that. Oh, we stopped at the top of Molas Pass, took some pictures there. That was pretty cool. The vault toilet the men's was locked. I'm assuming it was out of order, which, I don't know how a vault toilet can be out of order. But then I decided, well, I'll check the women's. And I walked in and looked in, and it's like, okay, I can see why it's out of order. It's like, it looks like it hadn't been serviced since the season started. Yeah, it was gross. Didn't use it. Headed out of there and just rode all the way back. I don't think we did anything else. When we got to Ouray, when you're coming through the switchbacks there in town, there's a little road that goes up that's paved, and it takes you up to a campground up above, like an amphitheater campground or something like that. Super narrow, it's like 1 lane wide, pretty steep, a lot of really tight corners, especially once you actually get up to the campground area. There's some really tight little blind corners, and you got to really putt because people in the cars aren't putt-putting. They're just assuming they got clear road. Went all the way to the top of that where there's a trailhead for hiking where you can really get up above the city. But we didn't do that. We just turned around and went back down. And then when you get down, I think it's the last switchback right before you drop into the city, there's the road for the Box Canyon Falls. And I've seen that for years, and I've seen the big sign up on top of the mountain that says Box Canyon. And I've never checked it out, so I thought, what the heck, we're here. Pulled into there, rolled into the parking lot. Not a lot of people there. Talked to a guy. There were 3 or 4 guys with some pretty cool Jeeps. One of them was dripping. I think he said his differential had to be tightened. One of the gaskets was leaking or something. And one of the other guys was trying to fix something on his Jeep. But I asked him, I was like, hey, was it cool? And they're like, oh yeah, it was really cool. It only takes 5 or 10 minutes. I really didn't want to do a big hike. My knees can't take it. So we went in. I think it was $7 for adults and $5 for kids or something like that. And Daniel's still under 18. And it was neat. It was a short walk. You get on this metal grating that's mounted to the side of the rock wall, and you can see through it. And you got to watch your head because there's, lots of rocks overhanging where you can bash your skull. And the first one is painted, and then after that, none of them are painted. So you got to be mindful. But it's this really, really narrow slot canyon. Doesn't go too far back, but huge waterfall coming through it, really loud. You can get right up in there, almost under the waterfall practically, and watch it coming down and everything. And then if you got the knees for it, you can go down 5 flights of stairs and get all the way down to the bottom of the waterfall and sit on some benches and, I don't know, meditate next to the water or something. I just looked. I didn't want to do that. And the kids weren't too wild about it either. And then we just walked back around and got to the parking lot. When you leave, the exit only, it's pretty steep. It drops you out right in the corner of town, and that at the end of the box canyon, and right as you come out of that, if you turn left, it gets you on the dirt road that I was trying to run all the way from Ridgeway to Ouray. And you get on that, and it takes you up on the backside of, was that the Dolores River, I think? I don't know what river it is. Not Dolores. Whatever the river is, it runs right through town. Animas River. I don't know. Get up there, start running that. The hard, packed, smooth road. About a lane and a half, so most of the time you got room to not have to worry about traffic going around corners, unless they're not paying attention, which happens. And we just ran that back, and it's just a really cool spot, especially because you're looking down out over the valley, and the other side of the valley is all lit up by the sun that's going down. Once you get out north of Ouray, there's a lot of farms, and the pastures have been mowed and cool patterns and stuff. And then eventually it comes down to a little fork in the road, and there's a pasture on the right, and I don't know, 8, 9, 10 huge deer standing out there just grazing. Not the least bit concerned about the sound of the bikes or anything else. Turned there and kept heading north, got to Ridgeway and got back on 550 and just started heading out. And boy, I tell you what, probably the last 20 miles, the wind started just coming in from the west like crazy. Also, the smoke from the controlled burns that they have been doing or still doing, I don't know, covered the whole horizon all the way from the west to east, covered the Grand Mesa. Everything was brown. Not wild about that because we're kind of heading back that direction in a day or so as we go back up through Grand Junction to get over to Moab. But the wind was just blowing like crazy. And like if a big truck went by and the wind stopped hitting you and then the truck, kept going by and then the wind started hitting you again, I mean, it would really jerk you around. Even on a big heavy bike like my GS, I was getting tossed around pretty good. So I know the kids were fighting it. I know Sarah had said something about almost going off the road or going off her lane or something because it was blowing her so bad. Got back to town and got to the hotel. All the parking spaces were gone, but there's a little steakhouse on the other side of the bowling alley. What was it? Todd's? I don't know. Expensive. I mean, it was okay. It wasn't, bad, but it was just like, a little 8-ounce filet was like $40-something, when you go to Outback and get a better filet for $24. You get all the bread you want. And they had bread here, but it was okay, but it wasn't like Outback or Texas Roadhouse or anything. I think Daniel got a burger, said it was okay. Nice treat though. At the end of the meal, they bring you out a little tiny carrot cake, and the kids don't like carrot cake, so I basically got a big piece of carrot cake. And that's pretty much a wrap for today. I mean, the trees, there's lots of people out getting trees. We were thinking about staying here in town for another couple of days, but all the hotels are booked up because all the leaf peepers are coming out now that the trees are really starting to change. Hotels in Ouray booked. Might be able to get in there to camp, maybe tent camping. The RV place that's on the backside of the river, full. I mean, I didn't see any empty spaces. All the cabins and stuff on the north side of town looked like they were full. That camp area that's north of, I think it's Timber Pine Hotel, and there's a little gas station garage there. That was all full. So, yeah, in the middle of town was pretty full too. So, busy season for them, even though it's kind of the end of the season. People are still renting Jeeps and side-by-sides and everything. So, we're going to head over to Lake City tomorrow, run a little bit of dirt, go up over, I think it's Highway 92. It goes from the Blue Mesa Reservoir Dam up over the mountains to Crawford and eventually comes out at Hotchkiss. I can't remember. But we're going to wind up staying over in Cedar Edge, which is by Orchard City, which is on 65, which goes back up over Grand Mesa. So we're going to do Grand Mesa again, cut through Grand Junction, run down I-70, and I can't remember the name of the highway that follows the Colorado River from I-70 down to Moab. It's real neat, big canyons and stuff. So we're going to run that over to Moab. And we'll probably spend 2 nights in Moab. Going to rent a side-by-side of some kind. From what I can tell, they're about $500 a day. You know, they have some that are guided where you get to drive, but I guess someone goes with you that shows you where to go. Make sure you don't trash the side-by-side. But it's like $135 per adult. I don't know how much it is for the kids. So that might be cheaper, you know, maybe $350 or $400. But if you just want to get a decent one that's not like a Kawasaki Mule, yeah, they're $500 a day. So we may do that because, you know, I'm not ever going to get a chance to be out here again with the kids like this. It's kind of a now or never. And then when we get done with that, we'll probably just cruise down, I don't know, 191, maybe go to Mesa Verde, see the cliff dwellings or something, and then head on back to Farmington and maybe load up and get home by about Wednesday or Thursday. And I think that'll be about 50 days on the road, you know, August 12th to, I don't know, October 3rd, 4th, 5th, something like that. Get home in time for my birthday, get some cake. Like cake. So, great day. We'll let you know how it goes tomorrow. We do Lake City and some dirt over in that area. May have some issues with US 50 being under construction because they've been closing lanes down. So, we'll let you know tomorrow. Bye.